We got to page Kuf Nun Gimel. I mean, it started over on page Kuf Nun Bet, and let's just read the top a little bit so I can get to number Kuf Aleph is where I want to start. He said, "Va'ata," excuse me. We're on page Kuf Nun Gimel. I'm just reading the top. Va'ata yivor v'tam lama kol shar hamiluim da'asam kol echet mehem hu b'sod eser osius v'avaya zuch dehein ein b'cha be'elotesha osius. I'm trying to think that Havaya the Hayan refers to the Nukva. It only has 9 letters. So she has no concept of Yisod. Now let's go over to number Kuf Aleph, and we'll see what it says. Now this is another one of these anatomy lessons. And the Tiv over here says that actually there are several versions of how the anatomy works. He said this somewhere in here. I'm going to see it. So the Malchus, which is called the Nukva Dezah, I want to know that's important that we understand that it's a Nukva, is in the back of Zeranpin, so she's in the back of the Netzach Hod Yisod of Zeranpin. That's where she's located. So but they're very long, he says. Like legs. So like, for example, us. They go all the way down to the floor. So there's so it doesn't go all the way down there. So there's no yisod for her to be fed off of. Lamata mini yisod. And since Malchus now stands on the back of the Nayidazah, it only makes from the Yisod the Das the Das. I think there's going to be a contradiction I see coming up over here. It makes only the Das and the Teferis of the Nuk. But he says, but her Yisod is not made out of the Yisod the Zah. He just said, what does the Yisod the Zah make? But the Teferis, it only makes the two stations of the middle line, the upper two. So since that's the case, so therefore she doesn't have a Yisod. They go over all the way down there, and she's able to be fed off of them or built off of them. So he says the fichoch heim and his pashtim ad netzach hod shebenuk. So therefore, there is a netzach and hod benuk. V'ovisham hanetzach dezacha naaza kol hakav yamini denuk. So this is important to know that from the netzach hazah makes the whole right line, which is the hachan, the hindach chachma. Chesed and Netzach Shalom. And behold, the Zeh Na'asa called the Kava small Danuk. The Hainu, the Baga the Danuk. The Gevura Bina Gevura Hod Shalom. I call Zeh Bechud Davka Benetzach Hod Dezah, but that works only for Netzach and Hod, so therefore then they make the right line of the Nuk and the left line of the Nuk. Shalihi Yosem Aruchim, so since they're so long, Him is pashtim ad netzach hod the Nuk. So they're all the way where the Nuk is going to be way down below. They'll reach her. Masha ain't candy yisod the shalihi yosef kotzer, since the yisod is much shorter. Alone mispashtet ad the yisod the Nuk. It doesn't go all the way down to the bottom where the yisod the Nuk would be. But the chen the sha'arach habenucha b'serim and the yisod. So therefore the Nuk remains missing the yisod. And according to this, then, the Nuk is missing that milui of that letter of the milui levaya shalosh shehi havaya the milui hayin shezecha b'milui yesh b'chavrag teisha osias lelo kamikui shal asam shebekol echa bechem yesh eser osias. So he says, "If Vizos Yuvan from this now you can understand mifnei macha malchus shehi nukva. So nukva here is lashon whole or empty, something like that. Nikras b'lashon nekeva v'lo b'lashon zachar. So that's why she's always considered to be female and not male. Why? Because she's missing something. So either you could figure what she does, she's missing that one letter, or you could say that she's empty in that place. So therefore she's called male, a female, and not male. So he said, now what's the reason why she doesn't have a yisod? He wants to go over it again. It's because the yisod of Zah is short. It doesn't reach down to the place of her yisod. So therefore, along with her, she doesn't have the same qualities. So whatever her yisod would be, which is going to be chaser, it's not being built from the yisod of Zah. So therefore she called nekeva. Now, in a minute, I don't know if he's going to say it here or if he's going to say it in the next one. He said that there's different versions of this, which always makes it more confusing. So but that was, I think, pretty well stated because we're playing around with this all the time. So now going on, Amnam Dayim Sarak Bir Mitnei Ma Ima Nikras B'Shem Alma D'Dechura. Now let's see, I'm in the right place. So he says, on the other hand, Ima, whose female aspect, is called the Alma D'Dechura. So he says what? The Nuk is associated with Zeranpin. And so therefore, Kach Ima Hi Nuk da Abba. Now she's the female aspect of Abba, but there's a difference between the two. So if she's the Nuk of Abba, so his question is that why would we ever use the word Dechura by Ima? So one more on this one here. He says for Inyan is who. So the Inyan goes like this. Ki Ima Ilo Nikras Alma de Dechura. She's called the world of masculinity. Afal pi shehi Nuk, even though that she's the Nuk. Machmish nei tamim. Now I don't think the reason what automatically came to me, I don't think he says it, but let me see if maybe he does. He says, Atam ha'echad hu mishum she'aba ve'ima hem shavim. One reason is because they're equal. They're what would you say, duplicates, or not exactly, but what we say that they're the same height. Okay, that's probably what he means. So therefore the yisodas match up. Should be so that inside, okay, this was my answer. So the inside of Ima, there's the yisod of Abba. So she's like the Alma is really Lashon Nuk. So she's really the place where he fits in. So therefore, that makes her the world of let's say, of the male. But Tama Shani, now there's another reason, he says. Who Kevin Shanai, the even Neknas and Bezasa, since her Nai goes into Zeranpin, besod Mochim, and now they're Mochim, and I'm thinking this is a male aspect where she's going in. V'azahu Dechur, and Za is Dechur, but he sees it like this. As she's going into Zeranpin, and Zeranpin is Dechura. Baal Shimon Nikras Ima B'Shem Alma the Dechura, and it's because of her relationships with her son, let's say, so to speak, she's therefore called the Alma of the Dechura. She builds up the Dechura. The Nim says She'ima Reiloa and Nenu Kabach Malchus. So there comes like that the upper Ima is not like Malchus. She'ain Lo Yisod the Dechura, who Malchus has no Yisod coming from the Dechura. Ki the Ima Yesh Yisod the Dechura now, because she has the Yisod of the Dechura along with her. The Dechain he Nikras Alma the Dechura. Let's go to the next one and let's read the words of the Rav. So the blurb says, Lama Al-Tam Lama Ein Lenuk Muach Hadas. Why is it that the Nuk does not have a Muach Hadas? Now, I don't know if you heard it, but he just said that the Nuk gets a das from I guess he means from the middle line. From the middle line is their anpin, but it doesn't reach all the way down to the yesod. He said that. Now he says not like that. Why does the nukva only have two mochin? So he said, so this is the idra. The trin mochin will leafing ball. So the light of two mochin they carve into her. Because what he's talking about, those two lights, he's talking about these two lights that are coming from the Netzach and Hod. What is built there? They build there. To me, this is a stira in and of itself. Excuse me. But the body is built out of six kitzvos, and he said from the Yisod the Zer Anpin, that is what is built by her. Now, before I get into the next part, just let me say that in the six kitzvos, one of them is Yisod. So I'm not sure exactly what he meant there, but he means to say apparently that the Tiferes is an entity by itself, and the Yisod is an entity by itself. That's the only way I can understand this, because the six kitzvos, one of them is Yisod. But let me read back again to number Kuf Tes Zayin up above. So then you have the body of the nukva is built out of the Yisod of Zeranpin. Ki gam Yisod nikra vav zeira, because the Yisod is also called the small zav, small vav. So therefore from it, that's where you make the body of the nekeva b'shisha kitzvos. Now he says ava basod the yisod shaba, but when you think about the yisod of her, ein vav shniya, she doesn't have a second vav. Why not? The fish owes vav shniya the yisod dezah, because the second vav in the yisod dezah, he said b'shuhura yisod shalo, which is his own yisod. Na'asis vav rishona the nukvacha kenizker. It makes the first vav in the nitz. Kind of going over it again, but he says makes the first vav the nukve kenizkar. V'chasi b'menda vav shniya. But now he didn't have any more vavs because it goes for him. He said the first vav, the vav of that name, goes to make her teferes, which is six kitzvos. The second one is zaz vav. So there's nothing to give to her. He says, this is the reason why the nukva is called by the name, is called taivas and nekeva. That is, the taiva of the woman is to cling to her husband, l'malos chesaron vav, because he has the vav, and to fill up the limit, the lack of her vav, zu hashniya, that is the seal v'chadusher ein law, that she doesn't have. Now, that seemed, I told you I had an objection over there, or a question on that. So now we'll go down to number Kuf Yud Gimel in the Tivuk Avanos, and the Tivuk Avanos says like this. He said, "V'zos yuvan mador yesh benuk rak trin mochin." Now I can understand why the nukva has only two mochin. He says, "Shehem chachma b'bina ak he sara es mor chadash." She doesn't have a das. So he said, "The pirish benuk yesh rak hanihira de trin mochim." So she has only the illumination, or the shefa that's coming from two mochim. Shehem mor chachma mor bina ak ein mor es mor chadas, but she doesn't have a mor chadas. Okay, so in the beginning we say like this, Ki yesh kama shitos be'inyan binyan hanukva. So let me just tell you this. How the nukva is built, there's a lot of different shitos, but we're learning one. So now he writes according to one of the shitos. So he, like he said before, that the Netzach Hodazah make the right line and the left line of the Nuk, and particularly we're talking about the Rosh, which would be the Chachma Bina. the chub. Ba'ofen shemei ha-netzach dezan na'asef muach ha-chochma de nukva. That from the netzach of the zan you make the chochma, and behold the zan na'asef muach ha-binda de nukva. Behind the shemina yisod the zechah ne'etzel rak gufa shal the nukva. It only makes the body. Right? Ashuhu shesh spheres chagat nai. Notice that what's my question is that the nai is included in nuk. Aglon na'aseh b'menach hadas. So now he's making a yisod for her, but he's not making a das. V'ha'inyan hu keven shachar yisod the nikra vav ze'ira, and the Inyan is like this. So since the yisod is called the small vav, ha'teferes nikra vav arucha, and the teferes is called the big vav, the long vav. V'ha'yisod the nikra vav ze'ira, and the yisod also called small vav. V'keven shachar yisod nikra vav. So since the yisod is called vav, so therefore the small vav in Zeranpin, he makes a big vav in the nuk. So he's because this body is a chagat nai. Now apparently over here he's not concerned about the yisod, but he's concerned about the chisaron of the das. Okay, no. So she has these two vavim coming into it never leaves that. Which we had said a reason that previously that it doesn't reach there. I'm not sure exactly, but that had to do with her yisod. Of yisod sheba. Ein od vav yishniya. There's in her yisod she doesn't have a second vav. B'meila chasa the yisod od vav v'cheres. So therefore in her yisod she's missing another vav. So there's a v'chatam she'ein the yisod as a vav hashniya hu mishum she'na'asiv b'menu shnei inyanim. So the reason why she doesn't have it is because of two things. That's what's actually made out of those double vavs. So he said, so I don't hear this because, if it's because the name of 52 refers to the nukva. That's her. And it says she has a double vav because that's part of it. But he says, no, it's not like that. The first vav is her teferes and includes a yisod, and the second vav goes to him. He keeps it. Now, why would that be? I said, how to understand that. Okay, because you're talking about the name of the nuk, not the name of Zeranpin. But at any rate, that's what he says. So he says, the nimsa, the fizan, sheyesh lenuk rak vav rishayna. So therefore, she only has that first vav. This is his conclusion. She's missing the second one and never gets to her. It could be for the reason he said before, maybe because it doesn't reach to her and it stays over there by Zah. Now we were originally talking about the fact that she's missing her das, right? And now the second vav is not going to her das, it's going to his yisod, staying by him. He started talking about das. For whom mishum min havav hashniya dezah shuhu b'yisod, dezah which is in the yisod, dezah na'asa hashisha kitzvah the nok. V'chasera es vav hashniya shalosh. She doesn't have that second vav. The ficha hanekeva rose of the hidavik b'dacher. So therefore she wants to cleave to the dacher. K'dei lamalos es chisrona shal havav hashniya she'ein law. In order to be able to get it from him. So that's what she needs. Now, this had to do with the concept of das, and he moved it over to the concept of the yisod. It sounded like the same idea. Well, that's the shiur for today.